Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Please don't mind my voice. It's completely dead. I've been screaming for the past couple hours because I've been watching UFC 294, and I apologize for not uploading over the past couple weeks. I really apologize. I've been very busy. I've been doing college visits, things like that. I've been very busy at work, saving up for college. But all that set aside, Alexander Volkanovski just got slept out cold by Islam Makhachev in the first round via head kick. And I know this isn't something I made a video on. I did not make a prediction on this video. As I said, I was busy. I didn't do any type of prediction work for this fight whatsoever. I was busy. I didn't do anything. I didn't make any content whatsoever. But at the end of the day, when breaking down this fight, when speaking to other people like my dad and other friends of mine, I said the head kicks are going to be there. You know what I mean? Alexander Volkanovski, when he's in the same stance as you, has excellent head kick defense. He kind of leans out of the way and puts his hand up. And we saw this on full display in the Yair Rodriguez fight. At no moment did Yair Rodriguez land super effectively with the head kicks. There was like one or two in the third round. But at the end of the day, we didn't really see him even wobble. We did see Max Holloway have some type of success in their second fight with the head kicks. But at the end of the day, what I looked at was I said Islam Makhachev is going to go body and then he's going to go head. Something people don't understand this. Pause. That sounded really weird. A lot of people underrate this. Islam Makhachev, because of his size advantage over Volkanovski, he likes to throw those knees. Volkanovski's game plan coming into the first fight was to blitz in with like those wild combos. Islam Makhachev, his response to this was to Muay Thai plum. And every time Volkanovski came in, he would land a knee to the body. I'm honestly surprised Volkanovski did not gas out in the first fight. He was eating so many knees to the body. Go rewatch the fight with the crowd muted. Do not listen to the crowd. The crowd was so biased towards Volkanovski. And we could see it. The crowd was super biased towards Makhachev and all of the, Arab fighters in Abu Dhabi. Or it wasn't even Abu Dhabi. It was in UAE or whatever. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, what I said is Islam Makhachev has nasty body kicks and he has nasty knees to the body. And I said, I don't think Volkanovski is going to go with the same game plan. I don't think Volkanovski is going to look to blitz in with those wild combos because he got kneed a lot of times. And I don't think that's going to be an option for anymore. I also don't think Makhachev is going to look to grapple on the ground as much. I think what he's going to be looking to do is more win in the clinch exchanges and outstrike him. The reason why people don't give, Islam Makhachev his credit for the first fight is because a lot of people look at, Makhachev as a grappler. They don't look at him as a striker. At the end of the day, Islam Makhachev did not win the first Alexander Volkanovski fight at UFC 284 with his grappling. He won it with his striking. He outstruck Volkanovski 4-1. I will die on that hill. You can go debate it in the comments. You can go cry and sit in your hidey hole. I believe with my full heart that Islam Makhachev beat Alexander Volkanovski 4-1, 4 rounds to 1. It was an incredibly easy win for him. Of course, the last round, he lost. There's no debate for that. And there's also no debate for the fourth round. People were saying that, Volk won the fourth round. That's ridiculous. There's also no debate Islam won the fifth round. But at the end of the day, all that set aside, a new fight has happened, and already we're probably going to get a lot of excuses. But as I was saying, Islam Makhachev, a lot of people look at him as a grappler, and that's why they don't really give him credit for his striking. In fact, Islam Makhachev is a better striker than Charles Oliveira. He's a better striker than Dustin Poirier, and he's arguably a better striker than even Justin Gaethje. I mean, he's a lot more defensively sound than Justin Gaethje, and I think he just proved he's more offensively sound and offensively effective as Justin Gaethje. I believe that not only can you make the argument that Islam Makhachev is the best grappler in the lightweight division, you can also make the same argument that he is the best striker in the lightweight division. And all that set aside, I keep saying all that set aside. Anyways, Islam Makhachev, look at the 3-fight streak he's on. And before I get into this, we got to talk about the people that are going to make excuses. The people that are going to make excuses are going to say, Volk took the fight on 10 days' notice. He's a featherweight midget. He's a featherweight midget bum that's 35 years old, took the fight on, 4 days' notice, 5 days, whatever it was, 10 days' notice. They're not going to give Makhachev credit. Makhachev was training for Charles Oliveira. He switched to Volkanovski and still managed to knock him out cold in the first round on 10 days notice. Completely different opponent. I guarantee you he had a much different game plan for Charles Oliveira. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's a completely different opponent. You know what I mean? It's completely different stylistic change, and you have to completely change your mindset. You've been training for one guy, now you train for this other guy that you weren't even thinking of. You were like, oh, this guy, he's not even part of the equation. I already have a backup fighter in Gamrot. It's not going to be Alexander Volkanovski. I got to focus on Charles. It's not going to be Volk. It's either Charles. If he pulls out, it's Gamrot. You know what I mean? That's all he was focusing on. You know what I mean? And for Charles to pull out, which was completely unexpected, I can't remember the last time Oliveira pulled out of a fight, and for Volk to step in, that's a huge stylistic change-up. People aren't going to give him credit. People are going to say, oh, Volkanovski injured, Volkanovski this, that. At the end of the day, these are all factors, but Volkanovski is still one of the best fighters on earth. Volkanovski is always training. And it's kind of ridiculous because at one point, Volkanovski was, I believe it was either UFC Embedded or Ariel Helwani. I forget what it was. He was saying, oh, I've been training the whole time. I always train. Every single day I'm in the gym no matter what. I always just get bored because I'm in the gym every day. I don't have a fight. That's why I don't like sitting out for that long. You know what I mean? But then he's going on saying the same week, he's going, oh, yeah, I haven't been training that much. I've been injured. I haven't been training. So have you been training the whole time every single day? Or have you not been training that much at all? Like, there wasn't any real definitive answers from Volkanovski on this. I do believe Volkanovski's been in the gym the whole time, though. I believe Volkanovski's the type of guy that's been in the gym every single day. He's been ready to go, and he's been training. Even if it hasn't been as, intense as some of his other training sessions, like when he's preparing for like a Yair Rodriguez fight or the last Makhachev fight when he's at 100%. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, he's still preparing and he's still fighting and training every single day. But the last thing I want to discuss in today's video are two things. One, Islam Makhachev's current streak, and two, where does he go from here? Also, where does Volkanovski go from here? Islam Makhachev is on a 3-fight winning streak, a 3-fight title win streak. You see, obviously he's on a huge, lightweight win streak. It's like 13 or 14 fights. I forget what it is. But at the end of the day, Islam Makhachev is on a 3-fight title streak. He went out there and completely starched Charles Oliveira. It was not a competitive fight. He easily beats Charles Oliveira. One of the easiest performances I've ever seen. There was not a single instance you can point at throughout that entire fight where you're like, oh yeah, Charles really had Islam hurt here. Oh, Charles had Islam in danger. Charles had the better position. Charles had this. Charles had a reversal from bottom half guard, which he got up to his feet and did nothing with. And then he landed an up kick. That was it. There was no moment like, oh, he has the back. Oh, he's looking for a submission here. He's almost got the submission. Oh, he landed a nice punch there. There was nothing. He completely washed Charles Oliveira, one of the easiest lightweight title wins in UFC history. Way better, way better than Conor McGregor's performance over Eddie Alvarez, because people always talk about that as one of the best performances. Islam Makhachev's performance over Charles Oliveira was significantly better. Then you look at UFC 284. People are going to talk about, featherweight midget Alexander Volkanovski. He goes out there and beats a lightweight Alexander Volkanovski, not an undersized Volk, a lightweight Volk who even showed that he was stronger than Makhachev in that fight. So I don't want to hear about how he's undersized. He showed that he arguably has the same punching power, the same kicking power, and he also has just as good a cardio, if not better cardio undeniably. And on top of that, he was the stronger fighter in the cage. So it was not an undersized Volkanovski, and he goes out there and beats him 4-1. Not just out-wrestles him 4-1. He goes out there and outstrikes Alexander Volkanovski 4 rounds to 1. He outstrikes the best striker in UFC history, whatever. So he proves he's the better striker, goes out there, definitively beats him, goes out there, trains for Charles Oliveira, UFC 294, gets an opponent change, a huge switch up to an even better opponent in Alexander Volkanovski. Of course, circumstances apply, but also circumstances with Islam Makhachev, and goes out there and sleeps him with a head kick in the first round, brutal ground and pound, walk-off KO. Insanity, absolute insanity, one of the best wins ever. And you look at this 3-fight winning streak, Charles Oliveira and then Alexander Volkanovski 2 times. 2 of them are by finish, both are easy wins, and then the last one was a much more difficult win, but it was still a definitive 4-1 decision. Even if you want to, maybe give Volkanovski round 3, it was still a 3-2 win. And all the rounds that Volkanovski won were much more difficult than the rounds that Makhachev won. The rounds that Makhachev won came much easier than the rounds Volkanovski won. He had to work a lot harder. And Makhachev had the better performance than Volkanovski. There was this kind of narrative going into the fight that Volkanovski was going to get starched. He was going to get washed. This fight wasn't remotely competitive. And that's why a lot of people were so surprised when Volkanovski did well. And I also think the crowd and the commentary played a huge role in that. I advise every single one of you to go rewatch that fight with no commentary, no sound, nothing, no volume, no crowd, no nothing. And the fight, you'll see it a lot differently. You look at the straight left hand that Makhachev kept landing, the knees to the body, the leg kicks, the jabs, the clinch exchanges he was having. He did a lot of really good work that a lot of people don't give him credit for. And the last thing I want to discuss in today's video is, where do both fighters go from here? That's a really good question. You see, for Islam Makhachev, I believe it's either going to be Charles Oliveira or Justin Gaethje. Gun to my head, the UFC looks like they're trying to set up Justin Gaethje. Gun to my head, I think it's going to be Charles Oliveira. I know Dana White, actually, it might be Justin Gaethje though, because Dana White absolutely hates when fighters do not fight when they're injured. There's nothing Dana White hates more than when a fighter pulls out of a fight because of an injury. And he's shown that on many occasions. So do not be surprised if Charles Oliveira has to fight someone else before getting a title shot, because Justin Gaethje is the next runner-up. And then as far as Alexander Volkanovski, it's got to be Ilia Topuria. The problem is if he comes back against Ilia Topuria after 3 months after getting brutally knocked out, we very well could see Alexander Volkanovski, his career end. I like to talk about this. Think of the perception of Kamaru Usman going into the, fifth round of the Leon Edwards fight, the second Leon Edwards fight. Think about the perception of him. He's the pound-for-pound #1 fighter in the world. He's on top of the world. He's, easily the best fighter in the world. John Jones isn't even back at this point. Alexander Volkanovski hasn't really cemented himself at this point. And we're all looking at, Kamaru Usman as, oh my gosh, he's about to surpass GSP with a couple more wins here. He's going on in a streak. And then he gets brutally knocked out with 1 minute to go, loses his next fight. Now he fights Hamza Chimaev, loses. And I believe, honestly, I believe that he had a draw with Hamza. I believe he won the second and third round. Undeniably, he won the third round. And I believe Hamza 10-8'd him in the first round. But at the end of the day, think of the perception of him. Think about the change. People used to look at him as like this pound-for-pound king. Now people look at Kamaru Usman as some type of bum. Even though I don't look at him that way, that's how other people look at him. So think of the perception of Alexander Volkanovski going into the Yair Rodriguez fight, coming out of the Alexander Volkanovski versus Islam Makhachev fight at UFC 284. Think of the perception of him then as this kind of juggernaut, this, better than any other champion ever, pound-for-pound king, the definition of a true champion, ready to fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. And now think of the perception of him if he loses to Ilia Topuria. He'll be 1-3 in his last 4 fights. He will have lost 2 by finish if he loses by finish to Ilia Topuria. Right now, he's already 1-2 in his last 3. He lost twice to Islam Makhachev, and he beat Yair Rodriguez, but he very easily could go and lose to a guy like Ilia Topuria. You know what I mean? He could lose via finish. He'd be 1-3 in his last 4. And I hate to see this because as much as I'm a fan of Islam Makhachev, I'm such a fan of Volkanovski as well. I'm a bigger fan of Makhachev, but I mean, honestly, I was so happy for Makhachev. And then they started talking on the broadcast about how, oh man, Volk's so depressed, and they showed a picture of it. So I looked up from my phone because I was watching one of my buddy's streams, and I look at this picture of Volk kind of holding his head and going like this, and it's so sad to see because we were truly living in the Volkanovski era, and maybe he does recover, goes out there, starches Ilia Topuria, beats him, maybe be a decision, maybe finishes him, dominates him, and we're still in the Volkanovski era, but the Volkanovski title reign, the Volkanovski era could very well be over, and I guarantee you, Ilia Topuria, after Volkanovski took this fight, was probably like, dude, it's over, I lost my shot. Ilia Topuria, after seeing Volk get KO'd like that, is probably like that meme of that dude hiding behind the tree, rubbing his hands together in the green suit. You know what I mean? So, I think that this is one of the saddest, this could be one of the saddest moments in MMA history. This could be one of the ends to the greatest title runs and greatest title reigns of all time. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you do not miss another upload. I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.